What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, we've got our Week 3 NFL game picks, outright versus the spread, along with our locks of the week. So make sure to tune in. If you enjoy, hit that like button, subscribe, give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. Do you agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have? We will do our best to answer them all. But with that being said, let's get right into it. And before looking at our breakdowns, I do want to highlight OddsJam once again because it continues to be the place that we use for all of our NFL betting research. Whether it's the NFL or really any other sport out there, OddsJam is second to none. They offer live line shopping. The information that they have when it comes to betting education, betting research, the betting tools that they offer. Again, they are elite. They're going to make sure that you are getting the best odds possible on your bets and maximizing your profits. Not only that, but whether you're a beginner or an expert, you can also take advantage of the tools that OddsJam offers, such as their positive EV tool, which shows you line discrepancies so you know you're getting the best odds out there. You're getting a mathematical edge and guaranteed money in the long run because you're finding the bets on games that are giving you the best value. In addition to this, check out their arbitrage tool, which gives you equal and opposite bets for a risk-free return. The link in the description. So again, make sure to check out OddsJam once again to get the most value on all your bets. But with that being said, let's get into it. And we kick things off with the New Orleans Saints at the Carolina Panthers, divisional clash here. So what do you need to know about this game? First and foremost, the Panthers are 0-2. They faced a couple of bottom tier teams. You know, they faced the Browns, they faced the Giants. They've had chances to win both those games. They've been very close. You know, they could very well be 2-0, but I do think the Saints are the best team they faced so far. It's also a divisional clash on top of that. These two teams know each other very well. The Saints have a stingy defense, and this is a situation where offensively, you know, the Panthers are healthy, but with Baker Mayfield, you know, it's not working. Whether it's the coaches, whether it's Mayfield, the fact that he hasn't had enough time to integrate himself into this offense, you know, that's TBD, but he just isn't the answer. He's not spreading the football out enough. Christian McCaffrey isn't being utilized. The Panthers' offense is way too predictable, even if there's been improvements on the offensive line, and you're going up against a very stout Saints defense. Now, yes, the Saints are banged up offensively. You know, Jameis Winston might not play in this game, but you've got a backup option in Andy Dalton that can get the job done. You know, both guys are decent game managers, and you've got Alvin Kamara, you've got Michael Thomas, Landry, a good offensive line, a good defense. You can beat the Carolina Panthers. I think really any team that's middle of the pack can beat the Panthers because they're going to shoot themselves in the foot. Baker Mayfield is going to make one too many mistakes. He's going to take one too many hits. And when push comes to shove, he doesn't have it to be in high-scoring shootouts. And even in lower-scoring affairs, it's a game where Baker Mayfield is going to have to limit his mistakes. I just don't have faith in that. Even with the Panthers at home, I like the New Orleans Saints to win this game. Now, the most interesting thing here is the spread, because, again, the Panthers have been covering, and the spread at plus 2.5 for Carolina. This is the caveat I'll put on this. If Jameis Winston plays, yes, he is mistake-prone as well, but I do think he gives a little bit more oomph to this Saints offense. Then I'll take the Saints on the spread. But otherwise, if he doesn't, then I'll give the edge to the Panthers on the spread and say it'll be a lot closer and that they can maybe keep this one within that 2-point mark. Then we go to the Houston Texans at the Chicago Bears. Look, the Texans, say what you will about them, but they've been a tough out. The Chicago Bears, they just got shellacked by the Green Bay Packers. They are 1-1. And, you know, it kind of proved what we all knew, and that's that in week 1, the Bears benefited from awful weather conditions where really it was anybody's game, and also from facing Trey Lance, who just didn't look like he had it. Now you're facing Davis Mills. Now, to be granted, I don't think that Davis Mills is anything special either, but you do have Lovie Smith returning to Chicago, to Soldier Field. That'll be an interesting storyline. But here, I do think the Bears are the better equipped team. They're at home. You know, I think they've got an underrated defense. And I think this is the kind of weakest defense they've faced up until this point. And I think if there were a game for us to see Justin Fields, you know, look like he could be the answer for Chicago and David Montgomery get it going and for Darnell Mooney to finally look like a legitimate wide receiver, Cole Kmet utilized, this would be that game. I like the Chicago Bears offensively here to look like they have a little bit of competence in life. I'm going to take the Chicago Bears to win. I just don't have enough faith in Davis Mills and just, pretty much Brendan Cooks. That's it. Nobody else on that offense scares me. Like Dameon Pierce, he's still a rookie. I don't think he's going to be able to get this entire thing done on his own. Sure, again, Lovie Smith, this game means a lot for him. He knows the Bears well, but it's been a long time since he was the coach in Chicago. I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears to win this game. I do think it'll probably end up being closer than some people might expect, but the spread -2.5 in favor of Chicago, not that large. I'm going to go with the Bears here. I think this could potentially be one of those games where if there's ever a blowout in their favor, this one might be it. Afterwards, we go to the Kansas City Chiefs at the Indianapolis Colts. The Chiefs continue to get those victories, while the Colts, shockingly, coming off a drubbing. They were shut out last week. Are you kidding me? In a divisional game on top of that versus the Jags, that was insane. And here, even if the Colts are at home, I don't know how you can feel confident picking them. Matt Ryan hasn't looked good. Now, obviously, I don't think he's, washed or anything like that. I think these first two games, they were just kind of, I don't really know how to describe them, but the Colts are better than that. However, I don't think that they can keep up with the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. Travis Kelce, Juju Smith-Schuster, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and then, defensively, you can take advantage of Matt Ryan right now. I still think he's kind of a middle-of-the-pack quarterback, maybe a little bit below average at this point in time, but I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt that he can kind of turn things around. I just don't think that this is the team that you do that against. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're going to be a top 5 team in the NFL. I like Kansas City here to win this game and potentially, kind of separate themselves from the Colts as the game progresses. Again, Matt Ryan, kind of mistake prone. So give me the Kansas City Chiefs to win. The spread +5.5 for the Colts. I do think they're going to look better than what we've seen from the first 2 weeks. It's tough not to. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take the better team to cover as well. Give me Kansas City outright on the spread. Then we go to the Buffalo Bills at the Miami Dolphins. The Bills, 2-0, undefeated. The Miami Dolphins, hold on, they are as well coming off one of the most insane comebacks you're ever going to see versus the Baltimore Ravens last week. That was insanity. And, what's going to happen here? I do think the Bills right now, they're at -5.5 here on the road, so they're favored. On the spread, I think that's a pretty decent number for the Dolphins, even though I like the Bills outright because, let's be honest, the Bills right now are playing like the best team in the NFL. Josh Allen looks like the MVP of the NFL. Offensively, they can't do anything wrong, whether Gabe Davis plays or he doesn't. You saw it with Stephon Diggs last week. He can carry this team. They have a lot of options here, and even though the Dolphins are a better team than, the Titans, who the Bills faced last week, I still think that the Buffalo can end up winning this game. However, the Dolphins have shown they do not quit. Tua playing very, very well. I think this could be a high-scoring affair. Give me the Miami Dolphins on the spread, +5.5, kind of a big number. I'll take the Bills outright, but the Dolphins on the spread. Then we go to the Detroit Lions at the Minnesota Vikings, another divisional clash. And hey, credit to the Detroit Lions. They took care of business last week versus Washington, and, they're playing solid, inspired football where I think they can split this series in the long run. Now, a lot of people probably going to put money on the Lions, especially after how poor the Minnesota Vikings and Kirk Cousins looked in primetime last week. But again, try not to be a prisoner of the moment. I do think that the Minnesota Vikings are, a little bit more of a complete team at home as well. Again, if this game was in Detroit, I'd probably be leaning Detroit outright. I love their offensive weapons. I've said it. If they had a upper echelon quarterback instead of Jared Goff, the Detroit Lions would be a legit team. They've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. They've got TJ Hawkinson. They've got DeAndre Swift. They've got a good offensive line. It's going to be that defense that and Jared Goff that are the big question marks here. But I think they can keep this game close, folks. And the fact of the matter is that they're getting 6 points here on the road. The Vikings are at -6. I think that's way too big of a number. I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions to cover that spread. I will take the Vikings outright, but I think the Lions are a sneaky play on the spread. Then we go to the Baltimore Ravens at the New England Patriots. The Patriots here at +3. Now, sure, they're coming off a nice win, low-scoring affair. That's not the type of football the Baltimore Ravens play, though. That's the problem. This is going to be the issue the Patriots have all season long. When they get in these contests with high-scoring teams like the Baltimore Ravens, and it's good weather, the Patriots are going to struggle to score, consistently 20-plus points. And I think the Baltimore Ravens with Lamar Jackson, when he's healthy, when he's got it going, with Andrews, with Rashad Bateman, they can do that pretty easily. And I think that defense can cause enough issues for Mac Jones. I like the Baltimore Ravens here on the road. Yes, I know it's a very tough environment. I know you're going up against Bill Belichick, but Lamar Jackson is that ultimate X factor here, folks. And I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt to the Baltimore Ravens that they can overcome the Belichick factor, and they're going to get this W. I think offensively, they're just on another level. On the spread, doesn't scare me all that much either. The Patriots getting +3, not a huge number. In a potentially high-scoring affair, I don't think the Patriots can hang with the Ravens. Give me the Baltimore to cover on the spread as well. Then we go to the Cincinnati Bengals at the New York Jets. Speaking of comebacks, man, the Jets had one for the ages last week versus the Browns as well. Kudos to them. While the Bengals, man, 0-2, losing to the Dak Prescott-less Dallas Cowboys. Are you kidding me? It's looking like that Super Bowl hangover is, legit right now. That offensive line, for all the improvements, quote unquote, that it had, ain't looking all that good. Joe Burrow, it's not showing us late season Joe Burrow from 2021, despite having all those weapons. And while I do like the Cincinnati Bengals to win, because I just don't trust the Jets offensively and Joe Flacco, I think the Jets on the spread could be a decent play. The Bengals just haven't looked all that great. You thought that last week could be a get-right game for them, but it just seems like they're going to be a little bit underwhelming this season. And while, again, the Jets aren't anything special, +6, with the way the Bengals have been playing, it's not a horrible number to go with. I'll take the Jets on the spread as long as, Joe Flacco doesn't implode. I think that, the Jets can hang in there, potentially get some garbage time points, and, get this thing to a respectable score when it's all said and done. But again, if you force me, I'm taking the Bengals outright. I think they're just the better team, top to bottom. And again, if there's a chance here for them to look somewhat respectable, it would be versus the New York Jets. So give me the Bengals outright, but New York on the spread. Then we go to the Raiders at the Tennessee Titans. And boy, oh boy, do the Titans look like a complete disaster right now. It's kind of what we've been saying for a while, that Ryan Tannehill is on the decline. They are a run-first team. When they go down big, they're going to be forced to throw the football. And Tannehill, past his prime, doesn't necessarily have the best weapons in the NFL in terms of wide receiver. That's an issue. And I do think that you could see that here versus the Raiders. Now, the problem with the Raiders is they don't know how to, finish teams and how to, play with a lead and just kind of, again, finish games. So I do think the Titans will have a chance here. But again, Derek Carr, give me Derek Carr over Ryan Tannehill. Devontae Adams, Hunter and Renfro, if he plays, if he doesn't, okay, that's a tough loss, but you've still got Darren Waller. You've got Josh Jacobs. The offensive line for both these teams at times shaky. Defensively, neither of these teams scare me. I'm going to go with the Raiders here to win this game. I think offensively, they're the better squad, no question about it. And, the spread not that large. Tennessee at +2, very close. I'm going to go with the Raiders to win this game. I like them outright, and I like them on the spread as well. Then we go to Philly at Washington, another divisional clash here. Washington getting +6.5 at home. with these divisional games, you never know what's going to happen. I understand the Eagles have looked great so far. Hurts looking like a potential MVP candidate. But, the couple of teams that they've played so far, not all that intimidating. Washington, I think you can make the case as one of the better teams, especially defensively, that they've had to play. Now, I understand that Washington just let up a bunch of points versus the Detroit Lions. So there is a, kind of question mark next to that defense. I do like the Philadelphia Eagles here on the road. I just think Washington is one of those teams where they put themselves in a situation where they have to come back so often in these games, and they put so much pressure on the shoulders of Carson Wentz where he's, he can fold under pressure real easy. And I think that can happen here versus the Eagles, but it's a divisional clash. Washington is getting plus 6.5. It really, honestly, I think this is the perfect game to live bet because you're going to be able to see very quickly what Carson Wentz you get, what Washington offense you get, depending on how they start the first couple of series. And then based on that, you can kind of confidently pick the spread one way or the other. So that's how I would caveat this game, but I do like the Eagles outright. Then we go to the Jaguars at the LA Chargers. This on paper should be a win for the LA Chargers. They've got Herbert, they've got potentially Keenan Allen returning, Mike Williams, Austin Eckler, a great offensive line, a good defense going up against a second-year quarterback. But the issue here is the health of one Justin Herbert. I have no idea how Herbert is day-to-day and potentially going to play in this game. Considering the hit he took, probably the fact that he has like cracked ribs or something of that nature, that makes zero sense to me. But if he plays, I think obviously, it's going to be fair to say that he's going to be less than 100%. He's going to have issues with mobility, with some throwing motions. And I think that's going to obviously be an advantage for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So on the spread, at least, the Chargers are -7 at home, a large number, a touchdown. I'm going to go with the Jacksonville Jaguars. If Justin Herbert was fully healthy, I'd go with the Chargers, sure. But with this being the case, and with the Chargers, again, being one of these teams that kind of let teams stay close, I'm going to go with the Jaguars on the spread. I think that, Trevor Lawrence, Christian Kirk, James Robinson, ETN, if he figures it out a little bit, can stay close with a less than 100% Chargers offense. That's the key here. I'll take the Chargers outright, but the Jags on the spread. Then we go to the LA Rams at the Arizona Cardinals, another divisional clash. This is probably the toughest game for me to pick on the week because the Cardinals, again, great comeback from them versus the Raiders. Are you kidding me? Kyler Murray didn't do jack in the first 3 quarters, and then in the final quarter, figures it out. But that's kind of been the MO for the Cardinals these first 2 weeks. And that's the problem here, I think, because the Cardinals just put themselves in a huge hole and then have to, whatever's left in the fourth quarter, you have to pray that it's not like a 20-plus point lead or deficit, I should say. But the thing on the other side is the Rams, they've looked underwhelming. Their defense suspect. Offensively, the rushing attack, who's it going to be? Akers, Henderson, the offensive line, some issues, Stafford making some questionable decisions, but I do have more faith in the LA Rams. At least they've played some more consistent football. Offensively, I mean, they've got Cooper Kupp, they've got Allen Robinson, they've got Tyler Higbee. With Arizona, I feel like all they have is, Marquise Brown, James Conner, but he might not play in this game either, so that's a big blow for them. So I'm going to take the Rams outright. This game is in Arizona, however. It's an NFC West divisional clash. I've said it, out of any division, these are the games where you throw the record out, and the Cardinals getting plus 3.5. I'm going to take the Cardinals on the spread. I'm terrified from them on a money line perspective, but on the spread, getting plus 3.5, divisional clash, I'm going to go with the Cardinals on the spread. Then we go to the Atlanta Falcons at the Seattle Seahawks. And here, this is a game where Seattle is a 1-point favorite at home. That kind of makes sense. The Falcons, they've blown leads. They've kind of lackluster offensively until the game was out of hand versus the LA Rams. While Seattle, they had a nice win versus the Denver Broncos in week 1. And then, well, it wasn't all that pretty versus San Francisco. So what are you expecting here? Well, I do think that Seattle should be the favorites. I don't have large expectations this game one way or the other. I'm not a Marcus Mariota believer. I'm not a Geno Smith believer. Offensively, though, you look at the weapons. The Seahawks do have, I think, the better weapons. DK Metcalf, they've got Tyler Lockett. I think Rashad Penny can have a big week here versus this Atlanta defense. And while Atlanta does have guys like a Kyle Pitts and Drake London, how are they going to utilize those guys? I probably have a little bit less faith in Marcus Mariota, a little bit less faith in the Atlanta defense. And the fact this game is in Seattle, pretty much across the country for Atlanta, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks to win outright. And on the spread, again, it's a 1-point favorite for Seattle. That's nothing. That's basically a pick 'em. Give me Seattle to win outright and on the spread. Then we go to the Green Bay Packers at the Tampa Bay Bucks. Right now, a pick 'em here. Green Bay getting a nice victory after starting at 0-1, just dominating, owning the Bears yet again. Kudos to you, Aaron Rodgers. The Bucks, I thought they would lose versus the Saints. They were kind of on that trajectory, and they figured it out in the latter portion of the game. Now, Mike Evans is suspended for this game due to his hit on Marcus Lattimore. But the fact of the matter is that, I still think right now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, you look at their offensive weapons, you compare them with the Packers' offensive weapons, they're kind of in a similar situation. You've got a running back that you can trust in Aaron Jones / A.J. Dillon, and then Leonard Fournette. And then the pass catchers, it's like you've got a great quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, but he's throwing to Sammy Watkins, rookies. Alan Lazard I really like, but he's banged up. So he might not play in this game. And then for Tom Brady, Mike Evans not going to be there. Godwin probably not going to play. Julio Jones might not play. So, they had to sign Cole Beasley this week. So offensively, both these teams are limited. Defensively, I think for sure the Tampa Bay Bucks are the better defensive team. So I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair. I really do. I think we're looking at a 17-14, 2017 type of game. And even though I think right now I have more faith in Aaron Rodgers, I got to go with the home team here. I got to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. If they get one of those wide receivers back, that would also be a huge win. I'm going to go with them outright. But I do think this could be a game that you want to hedge your bets on because anything can happen. I think this is going to be a coin flip of a game. And maybe we'll do this. If Alan Lazard plays in this game, I'll take the Packers on the spread that way. But let's move on to the San Francisco 49ers at the Denver Broncos. The Broncos at plus 1.5. They didn't look all that impressive versus the Texans last week. Yes, it was a win. Good for them. But, this is a tough team in the 49ers. And in fact, it rarely happens, but I think the 49ers got better via injury. Obviously, what I'm referring to is Trey Lance being out for the season. Now insert Jimmy Garoppolo. Get mad if you want to, but this offense is better with Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not saying that I don't feel for Trey Lance. Obviously, that's not the case, but you can't deny that he just didn't look all that great. Jimmy Garoppolo, we know what this team can look like with Jimmy Garoppolo under center. That's a playoff team. That's a Super Bowl contender. Offensively, they didn't look like that with Trey Lance. So I think the 49ers here are a good team. This is a team that knows Russell Wilson very well. Yes, it's a road game for them, but they're potentially getting George Kittle back. Jeff Wilson looked great in the absence of Elijah Mitchell. It's just going to really matter what Jimmy Garoppolo comes out. If he's a turnover machine or if he takes it kind of easy and can be that game manager. But right now I have a little bit more faith in San Francisco 49ers. I think, they're a little bit more complete. I think that Jimmy Garoppolo is playing, with this kind of passion after having been tossed aside for Trey Lance. Now this is his team again. I'm going to take the 49ers outright and on the spread. The Broncos are underdogs here at plus 1.5. So, the betting public kind of agrees with that sentiment of the 49ers. It's close to a pick 'em. So the last thing I'll say here, whichever side you do choose, probably go with them on the spread as well. But then finally, we have got the Dallas Cowboys at the New York Giants. It's probably going to be a tough watch on Monday night, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. It's probably going to be a lower scoring affair. The Giants 2-0, but again, who have they played? They've played the Titans, they've played the Panthers. Nobody. The Dallas Cowboys coming off a nice win versus the Cincinnati Bengals. Kudos to them. I didn't think they would be able to do it, but their current quarterback situation versus Daniel Jones, and as much as I don't believe in Daniel Jones, I have to give the Giants offensively the small edge. I think that both these defenses can be stingy enough. It's, the problem is, other than Saquon Barkley, who do you believe in on this Giants offense? This game is in New York. I'm just going to go and say that this will be a series that's, split. If it was in Dallas, I'd be taking the Dallas Cowboys here. It's in New York. I'll give the Giants the benefit of the doubt. The fact that the Cowboys are playing with a backup quarterback, that really just throws their entire offense for, just a questionable performance. Yes, I like the weapons they have a lot better in Zeke and Tony Pollard and CeeDee Lamb, but do you have the quarterback to take advantage of that? I'm not necessarily sure. So I'm going to go with the New York Giants here in an ugly game. Honestly, one that I would probably stay away from for betting purposes. The Giants favorite at -1, basically a pick 'em. So I'll go with the Giants on the spread there. But with that, we wrap up our pick 'ems. Now, looking at our locks of the week, let's start with the Kansas City Chiefs at the Indianapolis Colts. Simply put, the Colts have looked very, very underwhelming. And this is not, the game where they're going to potentially get it all right and come back from those disappointing performances in. The Chiefs are legit. Give me Kansas City here, Patrick Mahomes over Matt Ryan. Then we go to the New England Patriots hosting the Baltimore Ravens. I just don't think the offensive playing style for New England is going to be able to hang here with the Baltimore Ravens. For that reason, give me Baltimore to win this game. Then we're looking at the New York Jets versus the Cincinnati Bengals. If I'm picking the Cincinnati Bengals here as a lock again and they let me down, it's probably going to be one of the last times we go with them. But I just think that it might be a close game, but ultimately here, Joe Burrow and company can get it figured out versus the lonely New York Jets. Give me the Cincinnati Bengals to win this game. But other than that, those are kind of the three games I like. Not too many for sures in this week. So with that, we kind of wrap it up here for week 3. Picks outright on the spread along with the locks of the week. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe. Give us a follow on Twitter at AllDayPigskin to continue interacting with us there. Let us hear in the comment section. You agree, disagree, along with any other questions you guys might have. We'll do our best to answer them all. And again, make sure to check out OddsJam once again. Details in the description. But in the meantime, we'll see you guys in future videos.